Hi, Todd and Geneva. Uh, I just wanted to kind of show you the difference between the way the agents are probably pulling the comps in your area versus, the way I'm going to do it. You do have to have prior knowledge of the construction of the property, the history of the neighborhood, and of course the way that the appraisers pull comps. Normally, what would happen in a property like this, probably like the agent that you first interviewed, and then definitely we'll have to see the way that Kim Dyer pulls up her comps. But most agents would be pulling up their comps using the general location of the property and a general distance away. A mile radius is actually kind of too far, so it would probably be like a half-mile radius. But if you knew the construction of the neighborhood, you knew that it's actually a different kind of neighborhood. The headliners, the mansionettes, the hallmarks, and there's a few other builds out on this corner, actually is represented by this box. And I know that because I had to compare these properties, and this really is the bulk of that type of construction. Like a hallmark and a headliner are very similar in construction. The Bonadelli homes that are represented by this corner right here, you'll see there's none that show up. They're smaller homes of lesser construction, and then you'll see that in this upper area right here, there's condos and commercial, and then up in this corner right here, there are larger mansionette homes. I've sold a bunch of them in that area. And there's actually a length of street on 6th Street where there's almost half-acre lots for each one of these properties. So those would be more desirable. But there are some things that come into play with that as well. So anyway, I just wanted to show you how that is developed. Also, the way that appraisers pull it out, if they're from our area, this is the way that they would be doing it. Anything up here is going to be a different construction. Anything down here are also going to be different construction and somewhat more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Semi-custom. Some of the ones right here are also headliners, but I'm trying to keep it as close to this location as possible, so I kick the rest out. So anyway, as well as that, most agents that are looking at properties of this square footage, if they've got the right square footage for you, will be filtering their properties by 200 square feet up or down. It's a very common practice. It's a very common generality, but really the way that you should be doing it is you should be taking the total square footage of the house, which is the one that you gave me, the 1,892 square feet, and going up or down plus 20%. Because as the house gets larger, the variance that you would pull from gets larger. So both up and down, and most people don't do it that way. Appraisers have to be doing it that way because that's the way that the banks want them to analyze the properties. So therefore, agents should do it that way. I mean, we're not experts, I understand that, but we should at least begin the search process the same way as the appraisers. It's not always taught that way, and that's why appraisers really dislike comparables that agents bring up, unless you bring it up in the manner that they are understanding. So that's one of the differences between me and a regular real estate agent. So once again, that would be plus 2,270 square feet rather than 2,200 square feet. And the smaller homes, which are 1,513 square feet versus 1,500 square feet. So it just gives you a little bit more data, and then there's a little bit more accuracy. And when the appraiser sees the way that you fine-tuned the pricing, they're going to be more open to your suggestions and then your comments about the properties. So it is a fine line, and there are some agents that are appraisers. I'd say the newer ones are probably more susceptible to a little bit of agent input versus maybe the old school ones like me, who may just say, hey, I can't see any of your comps. The other thing that I do for the appraisers, because I used to do a large volume of production, is that my secretaries would prepare all the paperwork for me, so that I would just sit there and crunch the numbers, go to the MLS, do my inputting, and then go to the next one. I do the same thing for the appraisers. One of the biggest things that agents miss, and agents that do not attend the appraisals, are you have to provide them with the tax records and talk about any variances in size, just like your particular situation. You have to be able to intellectualize to these people what the improvements were now versus when the newest seller has purchased the property, which we have talked about. The other thing that we need to talk about is the actual contract, and this is where everybody messes up. Well, maybe not Kim; she's very experienced, but the other agents, what they do is they will negotiate the contract, and then after the fact, there's going to be the inspections and whatnot. Those inspections usually will turn up some kind of repair request, or possibly some cash, to compensate, maybe a price reduction, or some other what's the word I'm looking for? Well, anyway, some other compensation. And what happens is those become counter offers. And when the counters come in, the appraiser does not get a copy of it in some cases. The agent should provide them, or the lender should provide them, but they slip. And what happens is whatever the original sales price is what the appraiser will turn in. And when that happens, nothing can be done about it because the appraiser has put a stamp of approval on it. So I provide all the information so that the agents, other agents, buyer's agents, I always meet the appraiser whenever I do a transaction, whether I'm on the buyer side or the seller side. And I usually meet them by myself because the buyer's agents are too lazy to meet with the appraiser. So anyway, all that information I put into a folder. I get that prepared for them. I have everything outlined. I have the derivation of how I got to the sales price of the property, all the pluses and minuses, all the descriptions of the property, our negotiations, all our contracts, everything put together in one folder so that he or she can get together and put the whole package together for you. In most cases, we're going to get our appraisal done. In 34 years, I think I've only come up short in 4.5 transactions. That half transaction, me and the other agent actually put our heads together, met with the appraiser, and were able to change his mind on that particular sale, in which I was the listing agent again. So anyway, just wanted to kind of let you know where I'm coming from as far as where the numbers are coming from. So what I'm going to do now is I am actually going to crunch the numbers further and pick out these properties by hand. You'll notice that this active property right here, these are all based on the distance away from your property. So the ones that are coming up on the top of this list are the ones that are closest to you. And I'm going to go through each one of them until we get all the way through this location. And then, see which ones are most like your property. This one that's very close to you is probably priced on the high end of the neighborhood, but man, you gotta see the photography. And this is why I provided you guys with the actual listing information. The photographs of this property, they're just awful. So they're dark, the house is dirty, nothing's been taken away. It is a travesty, but I'm sure that was, this is an entry-only listing. The agent has no other interest than to put it on the market, and that was apparent by MLS entry only, okay? So those kinds of things I'm going to be, looking for on your behalf, and then choosing the ones that are most likely to be with your property. This one right here was a home that obviously was probably a lesser build and needed more work, so I'll figure out what's going on in the details. But I just wanted to show you the beginning portion of this, and then I will give you my assessment in person when we meet again. Okay? Hopefully you enjoyed this video and this explanation, and the rest of the information I'll try to share with you as well. I don't like to put too much into these videos because there's a lot that goes into it, but the use of AI, the use of the marketing for AI is another thing that is a strong point in my marketing, and I'll share that with you live as well. Okay? Hopefully you kind of get the gist of where I'm coming from, and I will probably get this out to you guys before 11 o'clock, and then we can talk about it thereafter. Thank you so much, Todd, and I want to say Genevieve. It's my niece's name is Geneva, and I'll get this taken care of for you. We can talk later. Thank you so much.